We will now start the press conference by Foreign Minister Hayashi. Over to you, sir.
From the 3rd to the 6th of August, from tomorrow, in order to attend the ASEAN-related Foreign Ministerial Conference, I will be visiting Phnom Penh of Cambodia. On the 4th, there will be Japan-ASEAN Foreign Ministerial Meeting and Japan-ASEAN +3 Foreign Ministerial. And on the 5th, there will be the East Asia Summit participant Foreign Ministerial Meeting, as well as ARF Ministerial Meeting are being scheduled. This is the first time in 3 years to be held in an in-person format. ASEAN is a very close partner to Japan for many decades. ASEAN is also a cornerstone in realizing the free and open Indo-Pacific. To realize the free and open Indo-Pacific, as well as the AOIP, ASEAN Outlook on Indo-Pacific, and also moving towards the 50th anniversary of Japan-ASEAN friendship and cooperation to be celebrated next year. We would like to reaffirm the close cooperation between Japan and ASEAN. At the conference this time, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, as well as East and South China Seas, as well as North Korea and Myanmar, and other regional and international developments will be discussed. And I would like to explain firmly Japan's policy and thoughts, and also to confirm the strengthening of partnership. And I will be meeting with the Cambodia in presidency of ASEAN, as well as the other participating countries on a bilateral basis. Now, if you could raise your hand and ask a question, coming to the nearby microphone.
Asahi Shimbun, Nobita. House Speaker Pelosi is in Asia, and it is reported that she will visit Taiwan this evening, and negative reactions by China are expected, and things are tense in ASEAN. What is your view on this? With regard to visit by House Speaker Pelosi, we are not in a position to speak on this as the Japanese government. Having said that, in general terms, on the part of our country, the stabilization of relations between China and the U.S. serves international community interests. It's very important. Thank you. And the next question, please.
Tanaka-san, please. Tanaka from GG Press. On the ASEAN-related foreign ministerial, when you attend, will you be having a bilateral meeting with the foreign ministers of China as well as Korea? And especially for Japan-China relations, ever since you have been appointed to be foreign minister, you have never met in person. So how about the necessity of that? As I have said earlier, for the bilateral meetings, we are still coordinating. For Japan-China and Japan-Korea, nothing has been decided yet. With the countries where we have already agreed on bilateral meetings, so we will be talking about our bilateral relations as well as international developments. We hope to have very frank and candid exchange of views. Next question, please.
Mori-san, please. Nippon Television, Mori is my name. There's a social issue with regard to Unification Church engaging in dubious sales. Do you have any relationship with the Unification Church? And Unification Church is a socially problematic entity. For politicians have to have relationship with this organization. What is your view? The respective ministers and diet members political activities is something that we'd like to refrain from commenting on. But in general terms, for individual politicians in their political activities, taking responsible action is very important. And with regard to relationships with socially problematic entities, I believe it is necessary to be thorough in explaining on the part of politicians. Personally, I have no relationship with the organization you referred to.
Next question, please. Kaneko-san from Yomiuri Shimbun. Yes, this is Kaneko from Yomiuri. About the state funeral for the late former the Prime Minister Abe. What about the preparations and the receiving of the dignitaries from abroad? And what kind of diplomacy will be slated? On the 22nd of July, the cabinet decision has been taken for the state funeral of the late Prime Minister Abe. With those countries where we have the diplomatic relations, so we have informed the date as well as the venue. But right now, we have not yet decided as to who will be actually attending. The Foreign Ministry have established the Secretariat for the preparation of the state funeral for the late Prime Minister Abe, and we would like to make thorough preparation in receiving the attendees for the state funeral. For 8 years and 8 months, in the history of the constitutional the government, Prime Minister Abe has taken very heavy responsibility in exercising superb leadership and ability to put into action. He has been valued highly from the international the community, including the leaders of the countries abroad, and have been given a condolences and sympathy widely from abroad as well. And having the state funeral, and we would like to mourn the passing of our Prime Minister Abe, and we would also like to indicate that Japan will never succumb to the violence, and we will firmly, resolutely preserve democracy, and that we will be continuing a revitalized Japan, and to open up the pathway for the future that will be communicated to the whole world.
Sawai TV Asahi on Sado gold mine and registration as World Heritage on the 28th of February. I believe that UNESCO has cited and indicated that has been oversights. And it's been 5 months since you have resubmitted, and it is said that you have not even told Niigata Prefecture. What kind of discussions were you conducting with UNESCO, please? With regard to Sado gold mine recommendation, from UNESCO Secretariat, it was mentioned that there were some oversights, there were shortcomings in the recommendation document. And we have been continuing discussions with the UNESCO side so that they may reconsider their decision. MEXT has reached out, as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, at various levels, a multiple number of times. We have strongly reached out tenaciously. And the Sado gold mine recommendation it has been decided that the recommendation will be resubmitted on the part of Ministry of Foreign Affairs. MEXT and other ministries would like to closely liaise to address this issue properly. This February of this year, Russia made an incursion to Ukraine, and what was scheduled to be held in Russia in June of this year, the 45th World Heritage Committee has been deferred, and post-deferral schedule and the location of the convening site and the location and date of meetings after the 46th meeting at the present is undecided. As for the gold mine, Sado gold mine, we cannot say anything definite about the schedule. Next question, please.
So, Mr. Azahari from Pan Orient News, please.
Pan Orient News and Arab Japan. Prime Minister Kishida is reportedly planning to visit Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar after attending TICAD later this month. I'm wondering what is the main goals of this visit, and are you accompanying him then? Thank you.
Now, the itinerary after the TICAD, as for the itinerary for Prime Minister Kishida visiting the other countries, nothing has been decided yet. So next question, please.
Last question, Yosa-san, NHK, please. Yosa from NHK. The Japanese who has been detained in Myanmar, my question pertains to this. A person in their 20s has been detained. What is the latest information that you have on the part of the Japanese government? And please tell us something about the response of the Japanese government. The Japanese embassy in Myanmar on the 30th of July confirmed that a 20-year-old male who was shooting demonstrations in the city has been detained by the police. The Japanese embassy is working on the Myanmar authorities for the early release of the Japanese who is detained. And the embassy is making efforts to collect information, and we'll be asking for early release. And from the standpoint of supporting the Japanese, we have been contacting the family. We've been providing support as much as we can, and we would like to continue to respond appropriately. That is all. Thank you. We would like to close the press conference. Thank you very much.